Let's take a look at the project in the screen composition of Designer. When you create a project, 6 project components are automatically created under the project. A project is a unit that combines 6 components: process, task, shared task, event, custom library, and resources. Depending on the performance type, it can be divided into a general project and a headless project. In this course, we will only cover general projects. Now, let's create a new project and look at the structure of the project in detail. First, if you click the menu in the top left corner, select New and select New Project. A new project will be created like this. If there are no additional settings, it will be located at the top left corner of the Designer screen like this, and a package will be auto-generated with the hierarchical components. Now, shall we look at each component in detail? Both the process and task are composed of processes, tasks, and activities, and the shared task refers to the task published on the server. The custom library refers to the function that can refer to an external library. And for the event, we can compose it with processes, tasks, and activities. But it cannot be published or shared on the server like the task. Finally, the resources refers to the unit of files saved in the user's computer. Let's look at the components of a project one by one. First of all, let's start with a process. When you create a project, you will see that a process called My Process is already created by default. Process refers to a unit of the automation scenario processing, and also a unit of the task performed by the bot. It can be composed of processes, tasks, and activities. The following is a process implemented as a sample. As you can see here, each component can be implemented in a flowchart format and can be composed of activities, processes, and tasks. Let's create a new process. First, right-click on the Process menu in the Project area and select New Process. Then, enter the name of the process you want to create and the description and press the Create button. For the process name, no space is allowed, and the first character cannot be a number. Also, no coding keywords, such as if, case, and delete, nor the special characters, including parentheses, are allowed. Now, if you entered the process name properly, you will see that a new process has been created, like this. You can select an activity from the library and drag and drop it to create a flowchart. Likewise, you can select another process in the project and drag and drop it to create a flowchart. Or you can import a task in the same way and create a flowchart. Next, let's look at the task as a project component. Task can be operated as a process module unit, and it has the same components as a process. However, the process is the automated task performed by the bot, while the task cannot be performed by the bot. Although the task is not an automated task unit performed by the bot, it is used to create a repetitive flowchart and reuse it by calling it from multiple processes or tasks. Shall we look at the task implemented as a sample? As shown in the screen, the task can implement each component in a flowchart format and is composed of an activity, process, and task. Now, let's create a task. Right-click on the Task menu in the Project area and select New Task. Then, enter the name of the task you want to create and the description, and press the Create button. When you create the task name, remember the following rules, just like when you create a new process. Now, after entering both the task name and description, you will see that a new task has been created, like this. Just like the process, a task can be completed by dragging and dropping the activities, processes, and other tasks. Let's continue with a shared task. A shared task is a unit of tasks that imports the task published in Orchestrator, that is, the server, and uses it as an automation scenario module. It has the same components as the task. We call the task created by the general user and published in the server as the shared task. The task can be modified, while the shared task imported from the server to the personal computer cannot be modified. Shall we import a shared task? First, right-click on the Shared Task menu in the project area and select Import from Server. Then, when the list of shared tasks is displayed, select the task to import and click the Import button. Then you will see the imported shared task is shown like this. You cannot modify the shared tasks on your computer. Now, let's look at an event. An event can be used before, after executing a process or task, or when an error occurs. Also, it can be used when an error occurs during an activity execution. On before calls an event before the execution. On error calls when an error occurs during the execution. And on after calls after the execution. The components are the same as the task, but unlike the task, it does not provide the feature to publish to the server of import from it. The following is an event as a sample. As you can see here, the event logic can be implemented in a flowchart format and can be composed of activities, processes, and tasks. So, let's create a new event. First, right-click on the Event menu in the project area and select New Event. Then, enter the name of the event you want to create and the description, and press the Create button. You will see that a new event has been created like this. When you create an event, an activity called Message Box is auto-created like this. If you click the corresponding activity, you will see that when an error occurs due to the variable set automatically, it displays the object name and the error details in the pop-up window. When you click the Run button to run the event, you will see a message box in a pop-up window like this. Next, let's learn how to call an event from a process or task. First, select the task that you want to call an event in the project area. Then, a combo box will appear in the Properties screen on the right side where you can select the event you want to call. On before means before execution. On after means after execution. And on error means when an error occurs during execution. So you can call the event specified in the combo box. Now, let's call an event from an activity. First, click the activity of an event that you want to call in the canvas. Then, the Properties screen on the right appears, and you can select an event when an error occurs during execution in the On Error combo box. When an error occurs, Ignore means to ignore, Retry means to retry, and Sample Event means to execute the event called Sample Event. Next is a custom library. Custom library is a function that can be used by referring to external libraries of JavaScript, MS Workflow Activities, and MS.NET Library. This part will be covered in more detail in the advanced course. Finally, let's look at resources. Resource is a unit of files required for project execution. You can save specific files, such as documents and photos used for tasks in a specified path, and use them when performing the projects. Now, let's create a new resource. Right-click on the Resources menu in the project area and select Add Resource. Also, if you select the file you want to add as a resource and click the Open button, you will see that the resource has been added, like this. So now, let's see how to use the resource. You can open a file registered as a resource using an activity called Execute File. First, add an activity called Execute File to Canvas by using Drag and Drop feature. Then, select the Execute File activity, and you can specify the path to the file on the right side of the Properties screen. The global variable called global.resource_dir is the path to the folder containing the resource files. You can enter the file path and file name in the path of the Properties screen in the format of global.resources_dir plus single quoted file name .extension in order to import the resource. And when you execute this process, the file registered as the resource will be executed.